For more than 70 years, the U.S. government has purchased surplus grains from American farmers and sent them overseas to feed hungry communities from Africa and Asia to South America and Ukraine.
I need your help to save my farm and many other farms.
So the federal cuts have been having some effects on how people spend and also on how some people do business. One such group that's feeling these effects are farmers. The government has been trying for a long time to make the everyday farmer's life just a little bit easier. Whether or not they give them a little subsidy here, a grant there, or in some cases what they'll do is they'll have them make their own investment out of their own pocket and then they'll reimburse them for the work they complete. So needless to say, there's some people that are feeling the pinch at the curb with some farmers not being able to do business, run their farms, make their sales.
For more than 70 years, the U.S. government has purchased surplus grains from American farmers and sent them overseas to feed hungry communities from Africa and Asia to South America and Ukraine. The program is called Food for Peace, and in 2022, it provided 4 billion pounds of food to 58 million people. But tonight, all that is in jeopardy after the Trump administration's decision to freeze funding for USAID. Hundreds of millions of dollars and millions of tons of wheat, lentils, and rice are stuck in ports and warehouses across America and around the globe. We're joined now by Kansas farmers Vance and Luis Emke. Their farm produces grain that ultimately makes it overseas. Thank you both so much for your time. Vance, let's start with you. Your wheat farm has been in the family since the 1880s. How does it make you feel to know your grain has gone to help people who so desperately needed it overseas?
Well, we do have a humanitarian and moral obligation to help, get food to these food deficient areas. It's also really good for developing goodwill with the United States.
Yeah, Luis, how would you say that the Food for Aid program has benefited you?
Well, it's been, there's only so many Kansans, and we cannot clearly eat all the wheat that we produce or the grain sorghum. And so we rely on customers, whether that's USAID or other countries through USAID. We need customers to buy our product, or we're SOL. I mean, we don't have a market, and it's critical, absolutely critical.
During the Biden administration, farmers made moves and decisions that benefited them that they were incentivized to make. The Biden administration's priorities have centered on spending billions of dollars on food and farm infrastructure, paying farmers to implement climate-smart practices, finalizing new regulations related to environment, labor, food safety, and nutrition, and distributing more dollars to food-insecure families. Even when the Biden-Harris administration looked like they were trying to level the playing field for farmers, especially when it comes down to renewing a contract. Tom Vilsack had announced on January 14th that a third installment in a series of regulatory reforms under the Packers and Stockyards Act that, in combination with other updates finalized under the Biden-Harris administration, is intended to level the playing field for farmers who raise chickens, turkeys, hogs, cattle, and sheep under the contract or for sale to meat and poultry processing companies. And the reason for them having to make a decision like this in the first place is because companies are predatory.
We're supposed to help our people!
They are there to continue to make money for their investors. So if they can do something like even renege or even make adjustments to the contracts that they have with farmers, they will.
Why would you do that?
And the Biden-Harris administration got specific with it when they said the rule announced today that it will give chicken farmers better insight into companies' payment rates for their birds, will institute stability and fairness in what is commonly known as the tournament system, will provide farmers with key information on capital improvements the companies require farmers to make in order to keep or renew contracts, and give farmers stronger leverage when companies do not adhere to rules. So if you read the policy, then you understand that there was some leverage that was actually coming towards farmers' way. But then you hear something like this.
Frank, who did you vote for president?
Mr. Trump.
Right?
Trump.
Mr. Trump.
If the election were today, Frank, would you vote for Donald Trump?
No way. Couldn't happen.
No.
So some of them are feeling it. Not all of them are feeling it. I'm not that bold to say that, but some of them are definitely feeling the pinch, and they're making their experience known online. And of course, people use their farm for different reasons. This guy is Skylar Holden. Skylar makes TikTok videos.
It's a good freaking day. Check this out. Hell yeah. $25,000. We got water up here finally. So no more water trailers up here. We're going to freaking water the cows automatically. We ordered the 13 waters to go across the farm and couldn't be more excited. Luckily, the NRCS is paying a portion of this on cost sharing. So we don't have to pay for the whole thing, but we still have like $10,000 out of pocket on this well, so that really sucks. But we're out here pretty good ways off the road and $25,000 pumping water at the top of the hill.
Remember that for later.
What?
Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with the program, the NRCS stands for the Natural Resources Conservation Service. Now, in order for you to acquire any type of NRCS funding, you need to check a few different boxes. Now, just to follow up on how you acquire such things like implementation of their plan, you need to, once you acquire the contract, you'll be provided standards and specifications for completing the practice or practices. And then you'll have a specified amount of time to implement. Once the work is implemented and inspected, you'll be paid the rate of compensation for the work if it meets NRCS standards and specifications. Skylar apparently did all of this, even to the point where he was on his TikTok videos giving advice to people as to how they can contact the NRCS in regards to the steps that need to be taken for the NRCS to give that little check mark that they all need.
All right, Doug, you're getting a video as well. So the first thing I would do is call over to the NRCS office, and I would not mention the horses. So I don't know if they do anything with horses or not, since it's not technically livestock. So I would reach out to them and ask them about what you're wanting to do. But some of the stuff that I advise you to ask for is if you've got any water like a pond or creek that you're wanting to keep the cows out of, or you can say that you're trying to keep them out of, they will pay for the fencing to fence that off, and then they'll pay for the well or the water to provide water for those animals, probably just the cows.
So you have to look at this as a major incentive for people to farm and to invest in building and developing their farms, with some specs, of course.
Back with you. So I made you a 3.5 long minute video answering your question, and I hit the wrong button. I deleted it instead of uploading it. So I'm going to try this again. So to answer your question about NRCS, what percentage did they pay on the cost sharing of the well? So they didn't pay a percentage. They say it's like 95%, and the way they pay out is it's a set amount. Like for the well, they pay, I think it was like $41 a foot that they were paying for. You know, every foot you go down depth on the well, they give you $41. So ours was 300 feet, so it was roughly like $12,000, $13,000 that they paid for actually drilling the well.
So after a while, all things are going smoothly, even though for the year, I believe he had reported that he didn't actually make any profit. But still, the program's rolled out, he signed up, he's up to code, but then he makes his other video. And I think this video got a lot of traction, mainly due to this crowd.
See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
Yeah, come to think of it, it was definitely that crowd that gave this that much traction.
I need your help to save my farm and many other farms. I wanted to give you guys an update on what we figured out with our contract through NRCS. So to give you some backstory, if you haven't watched the previous video, please go out, watch that previous video I've got on there. We are possibly going to lose our farm if NRCS doesn't hold up their contract with us on the EQIP program. So the reason that they're not able to hold up the contract is our EQIP program, which is cost sharing on fences, waters, a well, and some seedings, was funded by the Inflation Reduction Act. Because of the executive orders, there's a pause or a freeze on the funding through the Inflation Reduction Act, and they're not able to pay out on the stuff that we completed or anything going forward. But the issue I have is I've already done a bunch of the work, already paid for the material, already paid for the labor, so I'm out all that cost, and I use my farm operating expenses in order to do those projects, because per contract I knew that I was going to get cost sharing refunds on the stuff once completed, but now that it's completed, they're saying that they're unable to provide the funds because of the freeze on the Inflation Reduction Act funds. So I reached out to a couple different senators and Congress people. So I reached out to Ann Wagner's office. I have not heard back from them. I reached out to Josh Hawley's office. I have heard back from him, not from him personally, but from his office. And they are looking into it because they said that this should not be happening. The intention was not to take away the funding from the farmers, but doing the Inflation Reduction Act, cutting those costs, then it's also taken away from the programs that those programs helped out. So it's in the works, but what I need from you guys is if you could please share this, tag your representatives, tag your senators. I need to get some ground on this because I'm not the only one this is affecting. So there are other farmers in the comments saying that they're in the same boat that I'm in because they signed these contracts, and the contracts, even like, so whenever I looked into the contract, I made sure that that funding was set aside. It wasn't funding that, oh, we hope it's there whenever it's done. I made sure that that funding was set aside so that way before I made these business decisions, I knew that funding was there per contract. So they're backing out on the contract because they don't have the funding. They can't release the funds. So Please tag the representatives. Please tag the senators. I need to get some ground on this. We need to help me and other farmers out. We've got to get this funding paid out. I don't care if they don't do it in the future. The problem is there was contracts in place, multiple farms made business decisions, and multiple farms are going to sink if we don't get traction on this and get those funds unfrozen.
So that was the initial video, and he's 100% correct in this aspect, because there were contracts and there were already promises that were made of money that was supposed to be doled out to people that had businesses, especially, and people's livelihoods that actually relied on that funding. They made decisions based on the contracts they had signed previously. So this in definition is one of the examples of a rug pull. So since he put that original video out there, the comments have been kind of mixed, let's just say. Even some replies to his videos have been kind of mixed reactions. You have reactions such as this one.
Also, everybody says in the comments, Project 2025, didn't you read that? That's his platform.
Hey, Skylar, my name's Will Westmoreland, and I'm a farmer down in Southwest Missouri. And I just wanted to
Your name is Will Westmoreland?
reach out to you and tell you that I am not an FAFO kind of guy. We probably disagree with each other on everything political, but there's a very specific reason why people are getting upset with you, and I wanted to explain that to you if you'd be willing to listen to an older guy kind of walk you through the process.
Will, I'm pretty sure, is going to walk him through the whole process of why some people are getting upset gently, but not everyone was as patient.
So this comment right here, little short-sighted. Let's pass the blame easily on Donald Trump, because that's the easiest thing to do. But let's debunk this real quick. Farmers are not losing their farms because of Donald Trump. They are losing their farms due to their own greed, because they don't want to pay livable wages and they don't want to share their revenue by having people legally. You see how this works? You guys are pro-slavery, paying people under the table, paying people below minimum wage, paying people non-livable wage so they can do your job. So yeah, no, fuck them. Farmers with ethics, farmers that will actually care about their employees, farmers that care about the whole thing that's going on, they're not going out of business. They're not losing their farms. So no.
So needless to say, it actually turns out that the Biden administration was actually doing some things that would benefit farmers more than some of them probably even realized. Hopefully his funds get unfrozen, because one farm shutting down, it's not just him who gets affected. But if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like, leave your comment in the comment section, and I will see you again on the next one. Be easy, y'all.
I need your help to save my farm and many other farms.